Hello everyone and welcome back to another Q&A session for the Michael Chekhov Studio London. I'm Inigo Galeano and I'm here today, like every Friday, with a very interesting question. Today's question comes all the way from Italy and this is Emma and she's asking, I'll read the question for you. Hi Inigo, I'm Emma, I'm an actress from Italy and I'd like to know more about psychological gesture. I've read a lot about it, but I don't really understand it and I don't know how could I put it into practice. Okay, that's a great question, very common as well, because when people hear about Michael Chekhov, the first thing normally that they come to their mind is psychological gesture. And it's true that it's a very potent and useful tool for our acting, but we have to understand it. Emma, I'm going to give you the answer, but as I always say, you need to experience it and you need to build up a process through that building up, through that experience, you will own it, okay? But I'm going to answer, so I hope that clarifies things for you. But as I always say, you got to experience it. So let's build it up a little bit, okay? The first thing we need to understand about psychological gesture is what is gesture? Because gesture is not to mimic something, to imitate, to copy the physical form of something with my body. That's not what Chekhov meant by gesture or psychological gesture. Gesture is about meaning, okay? We could even say that gesture, it's the physical manifestation of meaning. It's the physical manifestation of the essence of something, and that is, of course, revealed somehow in the form of that thing. But it doesn't mean, because it's a very common mistake, when I ask what's the gesture of a palm tree, that we go into the physical form of the palm tree and we try to imitate a palm tree. But that's not adding any meaning. We're just copying a form. Yeah? And this is psychological gesture. There are two parts, the physical one, the gesture, and the psyche, which is not psychology. Psyche in Greek means soul. So it's the essence of it, okay? So we've got the gesture and the psyche. Okay, great. So to understand this, we also need to understand, and I think there are videos explaining this in our channel already, the psychophysical connection, meaning my number one, as we call it, my physical body, my instrument, if I change the shape and form of it, something's going to happen in my number two, in my inner life. I will feel differently. Yeah, for example, I always do this example. I'm in neutral. If my shoulders go up 1 millimeter, I'm going to feel very different. I'm going to perceive the world in a different way, and the world will perceive me in a different way. And a character may begin to come, but I'm feeling not so confident and a little bit threatened. All of that is coming from just changing the shape and form of my number one, and something immediately is received in my number two, my inner life. Something happens, okay? Good. So this is very important with psychological gesture, because that connection has to be in the gesture. I'm doing a gesture, so there is meaning in my number two. I can experience the meaning, the essence in my number two. So we can use psychological gesture to understand a character, a play, a scene, an act, a tree, anything, okay? But imagine we want to do this with a character. We will try gestures, for example, with Romeo, for example. We will look for what gesture is in Romeo. So a good way to start would be, look at the word Romeo. What movement is in there? Don't think about what you know about Romeo because you've read the play. That's all intellectual stuff. Try to follow the inner landscape of the word Romeo. So there's like a Romeo. Yeah, Romeo. Where is that resonating in your body? Is it in the head? I would say it's more in the chest. Romeo. And there is this sort of movement. We will have to explore this further. But imagine we come to the conclusion that the gesture of Romeo, after experiencing this, would be Romeo. I don't know, maybe it's not this one, but let's go for Romeo. That, it's changing something in my number two. And now this is connecting me with the essence of Romeo. And then I drop the physical gesture but that openness will stay there. So now something's different. I feel Romeo, I connect with Romeo. That's what the psychological gesture does for me. It gives me access to the essence of something. Okay? That was a very quick, brief example. As I said, you have to build it up. Yeah, but most important things that I want you to remember and to take out of this, Emma. First, gesture is not just imitating the shape and form. We need to go into the essence of something. So it's the gesture and how that gesture makes you feel inside in your number 2. Yeah? And that will allow you to discover so much about the character. Now I'm thinking of a palm tree. There is a log, it's vertical, and then there is a falling. Okay, I'm not just looking at the shape of the palm tree, I'm traveling through the whole inner process, inner life of the gesture, verticality and a very gentle falling. Very different from a willow tree which has a different kind of falling, or an oak tree. Yeah? So trees are good, okay, because they're all very different. But it always has to be connected with something in your number 2, in your inner life. And what it does, it opens the door to access the essence of the character. Okay? Well, I hope this helps. Everyone else, keep sending your questions. We're loving them. Appears in the email below me. If you like this video, like. If you don't like it, don't dislike it. And subscribe. And I'll see you all very soon. Thank you very much. Bye.